Welcome back to the Valisights podcast, the show for accountants, FP&A leaders, controllers, and CFOs who want to understand how leadership, operations, and AI are reshaping the future of business. I'm your host, Albert Ramos. Today's guest brings a bold, no-nonsense perspective to the future of finance. Julia Kozlov is a finance executive, advisor, and community leader in the AI finance movement. I love it. With roots in traditional FP&A and career that spans hyper-growth startups and strategic finance consulting, Julia is on a mission to redefine the CFO role as well as the modern finance leader for the next generation. As you'll find, she's a sharp thinker who's unafraid. My favorite thing about her, she's unafraid to challenge the status quo, especially when it comes to the outdated, and hear me out here, outdated finance structures that are holding your company back. Julia's insights on agentic AI, the evolving role of CFOs, and how finance teams can become true strategic drivers of growth are not just timely, but as I always mention, it's right now, it's happening now, it's essential, non-negotiable. In this episode, we talk about how agentic AI is shifting finance from reactive to proactive, why finance leaders must act as architects of systems, not just numbers. The death of siloed FP&A and the rise of strategic operators, so important. Why financial visibility is a leadership tool, not just a report. How Julia advises founders like you all navigating high growth and financial chaos. And if we have some time, Julia's thoughts on Valisights, our AI-powered FP&A and strategic finance platform. I'm so excited. Let's jump right into it. Julia, welcome to the Valisights podcast.
Thank you so much. I think I'm just going to take you around with me all the time. You are the best hype man I think I've ever met.
You're
So
so funny.
it
It's
was
that.
definitely kismet that we met at the World Finance Forum.
Oh my goodness. I was just so impressed when you were on the stage and you were talking. I mean, talk about emotional availability, vulnerability. Like, I think EQ and all the things that have been written about it in past were a little ahead of their time. And then right now, with this intelligence wave that's taken over everything, like this value of human connection, EQ, right? That human factor, human touch is so important. And you're totally into that and are coaching and mentoring others and just such an inspiration. So as I was watching on stage, I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to talk to her some more. So I'm so excited. Thank you for this time.
Thank you. I actually think that right now in finance, crazy as it sounds, EQ is the most important thing. There I look at my kids who actually I've taught them how to make the phone call, as opposed to there's people on staffs on teams who are, oh, I'm going to email back and forth 17,000 times. Pick up the phone, ask the question. You can go to ChatGPT and get the data, but how do you humanize the data and how do you make something of it? It's the critical thinking skills that so few people have. That's why people like me, people like you, AI is not going to fully take over what we do because we have those human connections.
Right.
And especially as you grow in your career, as you become an executive, it's not going to be what you know. Because look, we can go back to the encyclopedia days. We can go to FASB, we can go to GASB, we can go to Gap, we can Google, we can use ChatGPT, we can use any
Mhm.
Claude, Gemini. However, everything that we then need to look at, whether we want to increase our line of credit or we want to find another type of benefit for our employees, that is going to be human connection. That is not just going to be the data.
You're so spot on. I think even more so, as I was mentioning, as you're saying it, our yearning for human connection, for human creation, there's going to be so much more value. We love the precision and the speed and the intelligence and the right at our fingertips. We will have a co-pilot. Speaking of hype man, I'll be your co-pilot. I'll be there with you. It's all good. Or
No,
my digital twin. But no, we have the speed, precision, this accuracy, right? The variances of your forecasting, all awesome. But you're right. There's still, but I want to be with another human. It's so kind of interesting to just say it out loud that way, but that's the times that we're living in, and it's going to be even more prevalent in the future. But I'd love to unravel your journey. What drew you into the world of finance and strategic operations?
so when I was 14 years old, I went to work with my brother-in-law one day, and he was the controller for a grocery store chain. And I was like, "Oh my god, these numbers are really pretty cool." I know, I am that nerd
I
that
love it.
started with an accounting degree, and then I've just stayed. I started my career at Deloitte. I went to Disney. I'm unique in
Wow.
that I'm very industry agnostic. I have always kind of been at different companies, and even at companies like Disney, I was taken away from my FP&A role and I implemented SAP. So every company I've been at, I've kind of been at that intersection with, oh my God, here's the numbers. Here's how we can tell the story better with numbers. But also, here are the systems that we're implementing. So I have that, I can speak numbers and I can speak IT. So that's where, oh my God, AI, that is absolutely the intersection of data and storytelling with the data and storytelling smarter.
Mm.
And then I started talking to a boss of mine a few years ago, and I was like, why are you so good at what you do? He's like, you know what, Julia, it's not the numbers. I go and talk to all of the other stakeholders. I go and talk to operations. I go and talk to HR. I go and talk to marketing. And so when we're all on the same page, even when I say no, we all understand why, and it's for the good of the company. So strategy,
Mm.
numbers. So it's that whole, I heard it at the World Finance Forum, EQ, the IQ, the TQ, all
Right.
of that together. So that's where finance, strategic operations, all of that has to be together and has to flow to in order to scale businesses. That's what everyone wants to do, right?
Yeah, that's super inspiring. And I know for the audience, they're going to love and probably want to learn more about. And I'd love to ask you, how did you do that? Right? Because I think we're in this inflection point where the intelligence of AI, agentic AI, agents, right? We're seeing it within our ERPs and some others like QuickBooks, et cetera, right? It's going to reposition people in their roles. They no longer have to or be responsible for certain tasks, but it's going to be required, to your point, communication skills, your ability to be empathic, right? Your EQ and awareness and relationship management, your ability to understand. You talk a lot about this on LinkedIn around just unsiloing your organization, right? But you're going to have to understand, like your colleague who is walking and talking to all the different stakeholders and users and other departments, that's a skill, right? It's not you just walk in and open the door. It's like, hey, I want to talk. It doesn't typically work out. There's a relationship needed to be built, and questions and a curiosity and this inquisitive nature. Sometimes that doesn't come naturally to people in our industry, in any industry, but we'll talk finance. How did you start to dabble into strategic operations and IT? Because I think a lot of people are hearing this and they understand, wow, what's great about this wave of intelligence is, although there's like all the fear mongering online and the career pathing is over, like you're screwed, it's going to take over. Not necessarily, right? You just have to reposition and navigate and understand you are an advisor, you are a coach, you are a strategic partner. That's where you need to go, but it requires communication skill, right? Critical thinking, to your point. How did you, like, that's risky to say, hey, I'm really good here, this is my specialty, this is where my education background is, what I know, but I need to go and learn and dabble and connect the dots. How did you do that?
So, at this level, anyone that's listening to this that's a finance executive, a controller, a CFO, we all know numbers. And we all, for our whole career, have been mired in the data analysis and going, oh my God, there's not enough hours in the day. I need to make sure that the numbers stick. I need to make sure that the budget is done if you're a calendar year end by middle of December so everyone can sign off so it can be wrong on January 1st.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
We need to make
or it's
sure,
like, is this thing done? Like, where is
yeah,
it?
it's done and we're going to put it off to the side
Right,
because
right.
literally everything we've been doing is
Reforecast.
forecast. Yeah. But it's really coming in and saying, you know what? I don't know. I'm not the subject matter expert, and please teach me. And I was kind of
Mhm.
thrown into the deep end when I was at Deloitte, and it's like,
Love
okay,
it.
you're going to leave your FP&A role, and you're going to go and be the subject matter expert for the project subledger, moving it from Oracle to SAP. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And then you would give all your data. First of all, you had to clean all your data, which right now, this is so important in the age of AI. You can throw all your data into AI, but garbage in, garbage out. The
Hmm.
number of times I've had people say to me, Julia, your report's wrong. I'm like, no, no, no. My report is spot on. The underlying data is garbage, not on me.
Good call.
So cleaning up all the data. But I remember literally at 4 a.m. being
Oh,
woken up, paged, because we had cell
yes.
phones, but they weren't paying for. They were like, look, I'm not that old, so we were in the age of cell phones. But
Half the audience is going to chat GPT right now saying, what is a pager?
what is a
What is a
pager?
page?
What is a page? And literally go, driving back to the office and saying, okay, you guys implemented the data from Oracle to SAP. Let me go check it. Look, 1 + 1 + 1 can equal 2. If it's zero point 0.6, it can equal 3, it can
Mhm.
equal 4. So really, what is it that we're trying to understand? Then getting our IT people to understand it, asking the questions. I iterated before there was AI. The amounts of times I've asked my kids, okay, explain this to me 7 different ways. The
Mm.
amounts of times I've asked the stakeholders and departments that I was not the subject matter expert in. The number of times I've talked to AI saying, look, I get it that A plus B plus C equals D, but it doesn't in this case. So I am now the subject matter expert. So let me explain it to you. That is where we start. We start by saying, hey, I don't know the answer. And that doesn't make me dumb. That makes me really smart for not spinning my wheels.
Mhm.
Explain it to me. Explain it in a way that you think I understand. Meet me where I'm at. I'm really smart, but I'm a numbers person.
Mhm.
So explain to me the HRIS reason
Mhm.
behind why I cannot do that.
Mhm.
And then let me let me make sure I understand it instead of going, yeah, yeah, I got it. No, no, no. I still don't got it. Explain it to me. And so when you talk to your stakeholders in a way that they understand that you really are trying to get it and not just trying to shoo them away or saying no or yes to a variance. Okay, is your variance, is it timing? Is it permanent? Okay, so I'm reforecasting and this is the number. But why? Why is it timing or permanent? And does that mean that we're changing, that the business is changing? Listen, did that answer your question?
Oh,
I think
it's
I just went into
you have my wheels turning, and I wanna come back. I wanna jump on this some more. So to what you answered is it's beautiful, right? When we think about, well, how do I go and I connect these dots, or I change my career paths, or I become more versed in ops or marketing or IT, right? What you just demonstrated, and I love that you said it out loud, is I'd like to learn more. Tell me more. How does this work, right? And so it's an inquisitive student like mindset, right? And I think that is a skill. Not many do that, right? Some of us like to go and prescribe or tell, and it's slowing down, right? And you're coming from a place of humility, vulnerability, and again, a student, so that you can serve and help. That's what I love about it, right? Is so you can connect the dots so we all thrive as one team. So my next question is, and this might get a little personal, but I'm sure people are also wondering, where does this come from? Like, where does this inquisitive curiosity come from, that you have?
I have always been that person. It's
Mm.
funny when we now iterate in ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or any of the others. I always say ChatGPT, but it's like saying Kleenex or Xerox. Like
Yeah,
to me, it's a large language model,
right,
it's
right.
AI, it's all of it. I've always been a person that has manually asked the questions, that's manually iterated. I don't
Mhm.
know, I've just always been a curious person. I didn't have, even in college, like there was my number stuff that I did. I was an accounting major, but I
Mhm.
also did theater. I stage managed. Um, I produced, I did all of these things where it's kind of my right side of the brain and my left side of the brain. And then I've tried to figure out how to marry it. And I always am like looking at juxtaposing things. Like I just did a LinkedIn post a few weeks ago. My daughter was in Spain when the power went out.
Saw that.
And I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. And once I got her hotel room back in Madrid, I also thought to myself, now, what can I learn from this for finance? I'm one
Hmm.
of those people that reads Start with Why,
Oh, yeah.
like Likeable Badass by Allison Friedel. I've got to give a shout out. It is one of the best books I've read in so many years.
Hmm.
So it's all of these things, and people are like, "Oh my God, why are you reading the self help books?" I'm like, "Look, if I can get 1% better and know and get 1% from these books, then I will be a better employee, employer, human being, etc."
Mm.
So I've just always been that way. And the people that aren't that way, this is what's going to matter in the future.
Hmm.
Because we're going to be able, Agentic AI is going to literally do all of the data initial grunt work tasks that
Hmm.
we've been doing. So what do you do with this now? Where's your value? And your
Oh,
value is in
that's so
being
good.
human.
So good. And we're going to get to that because that's so important. And I'm glad you shared that. And I think there's just, and you gave some examples, as I mentioned, on what questions to ask and, how to go about what we're talking about, just the communication piece and the being involved in different departments and then navigating your own career pathway, right? Still within finance, but creating this almost, as you mentioned, unsiloed approach. I think it's super powerful. So we'll come back to that, but I'd love to know, and I've seen you post about it, right? And what I love about you is just you're so ahead of the curve, open-minded to the technology, whereas there's still quite a bit of an adoption gap in our industry. But I think things are changing because of people like you. So what does it mean? And we have many CFOs, but finance leaders to be a modern CFO or be a modern finance leader in today's environment. How would you describe that? What does that mean to you?
Really, it's part strategist, part technologist, and really part psychologist. You're not closing the books. You're talking to your partners. You're figuring out what you don't know and you haven't been told.
Mm.
You're, as I said, like I'm asking the question in five different ways. The mundane is going to be automated, but now, okay, here's the story. What does the story mean? And so it's not just looking at the numbers, it's looking at the operations, it's looking at the future, and it's asking the questions that you don't know to ask. Hell, the
Mhm.
amount of times I go to ChatGPT and say, here's this, what don't I know about it? And what is coming down the pike in 3 to 6 months. In fact, right now we've just created governance about enterprise-wide chat GPT, right? And I looked at I reviewed what our CTO gave me just because he knows that I'm also into this stuff. And we also obviously need to get buy-in from everyone. But
Excellent.
also I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, let's add the things that are potentially coming down the pike 3 to 6 months from now that aren't here yet. We need to add those into our governance because once we publish, it's already outdated. I remember I was doing the AI 101 for finance executives for FEI Los Angeles in January. And the day before I um, I was about to present, agents came out. So I had to
Mhm.
go in and I'm like, oh my God, what are agents? And then I had to go in and add it. And then in April, I was doing an AI 101 at the Chief Clubhouse, which is a female uh,
Yeah, big fan.
network. And I think the week before, ChatGPT came out where it actually said how many R's were in strawberries and the fact that it could fill up a wine glass and didn't
Right.
give you 5 fingers. So 2 days before, I had to go and change up every single day. Like yesterday or the day before, I just saw that ChatGPT Enterprise came out with its own kind of like otter or it's going to be able to videotape everything. So it's
Yeah,
taking.
transcribe. Yeah.
Thank you, thank
Hmm.
you. So clearly, I can't speak English all the time.
No, you're
So
good.
transcription services, and it's like, oh my God, I haven't even delved into that. But what I did was, hey, we're implementing the enterprise version. We're a autism therapy company, HIPAA compliant, so we have got to turn that off because right now the only transcription service that works with it is Fathom. So all of these things that are coming on, the modern CFO, the modern executive needs to be looking at all of these things that aren't just gap or cash flow, even though cash is king, absolutely. Tariffs, all of that. We can't just be looking at that.
Okay, there is a lot there that we need to chat about, and I'm so excited because We actually had Anna Tiomani on the
Love her.
show as well. You saw her at World Finance Forum as well.
Love her.
And you two are the only ones. And I'm telling you, for those listening, if you're excited about AI and agentic AI and agents, and you want your organization to modernize, you want your finance team to modernize, what you just heard there is so important. Governance. And you start talking to your CIO or whoever is owning the IT side of things, and you start talking about security governance, you're ahead of the game. It's looking good for you, right? So I love that you chat about that, your governance strategy and how you're connecting again with all the different departments, including the IT department, because it's so important that we're all in this together to make sure that it works. The worst thing that you do is you don't think about cybersecurity, or you over automate, or you add AI where it just doesn't need to be. And then there's failure in the projects. Your end user, whether that be a customer or frontline team member, is like, nah, I don't trust in this. You can fix it. I don't trust it anymore. That's the worst. It's so hard to overcome. And so I love that you spend so much time on governance. And then you just excited me as you're talking about, chat, for instance, and the transcription tools. And you think about vision, you think about memory or recall for some other platforms, Copilot, Microsoft Copilot and Gemini, they're all getting into this too. But you're starting to see the variables of at all times, whether it be on your glasses, your phone, or your screen, you'll have a co-pilot with everything that you do, right? And it's pretty much here, right? You have GPTs and Chat GPT, you have agents. Maybe you're using N8N or something, right? And then you have your connection points API or Zapier or what have you. But the way what you're describing, right, is almost like a very quick, very hyper intelligent digital twin of yours or of others that can be with you at all times, that understands the all the ins and outs of, let's call it, your organization. Which, by the way, I'd love, and you kind of touched on it here a bit ago. Can we talk about your organization? And I haven't shared this with you. I'd love to chat about a story and why I'm one excited to hear more about it, and why I've been following for quite some time as well.
So my day job, aside from me like completely being passionate about AI and leadership and mentorship and all of this. So the organization I currently work for, we do ABA autism therapy. Now, people are like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing." I am not the interventionist. I am not the BCBA. I am not the person operationally going out and sitting with these clients. Those people are amazing. I'm the person that's telling the story and strategically giving them the data and working with them to make sure that they're able to service more clients right now from age 5 to 18, 19, 20 years old. But
Amazing.
what's amazing with it is we it makes me have to pause on the AI and make sure that what we're implementing and what I'm using, I can't throw all of our data into a chat. One,
Right.
I was raised by Deloitte. I'm an auditor by nature. So, we don't put data into something that's open source. But also, even the enterprise version of chat is not HIPAA compliant yet. We're
Hmm.
not putting in client data even into closed source right now. Like when we talk about transcription services, the only transcription service is Fathom that's HIPAA compliant, which is why we use that. We
Hmm.
really have to be very, very careful that what can I put? What do I have to randomize, anonymize, and what is not going to be able to be put into even agentic AI for a little while. And so we just have to be really, really cognizant of it because these are people's medical data and
Yeah.
we never want to be in that position. So I
Right.
think I'm the good person to be here that's in that, once again, that operations, IT,
Exactly.
finance, because I
Legal.
understand all of those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially, I spent a lot of time with hospitals and the healthcare environment, coming from the fitness world as well. And that is so important, right? So for those listening, we're all ambitious and we want to run out, be ahead of the curve, learn, use these tools, experiment. But you also have to think back to that governance and also the legal ramifications if
Yeah.
not done correctly, or if there's leakage, which that is not fun, right? And I've seen it because people didn't do it the right way, right, and slow down. Specifically in the healthcare space, HIPAA, that's huge, right? And
Huge.
that comes with very large fines if not done correctly. And I love that you take that approach. So my son, his name's Jameson, named after my best friend. We went to Occidental
Wow.
College, yeah, in LA, in Eagle Rock, Occidental College, small little school there. Played football and all that, and had my first boy. Named him after my buddy Jameson. Spelled it a little bit different, and we just saw the signs. We saw some toe walking and some hand flapping and things like that. And God, he's such a great kid. But we ended up going back to California. We got with what we call angels, those occupational therapists,
Yes.
people that work, for instance, for example, your organization, things like that. And I watched so much. I just was so interested in learning, like, how does this work, and just all the different activities we'd actually have. And California is great with the services that they have, and what are
Easter seals is fantastic.
oh, so good. And so they'd come over and they'd spend time with them. And I got to say, I shout outs to all those that are in that space, just
Yeah.
truly angels. And in a lot of ways, he outgrew some things, but he still has dad's like oversensitivity and sometimes transitional issues of topic A to topic B. But it's a superpower too, because
Oh,
we leverage it to some strengths. And I just as I saw and did my homework and then have been following you for quite some time, I saw that. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to chat about that. So that's so amazing what you do and what your team does.
yeah. Definitely your son has superpowers. And I think that the earlier the interventions, the more of a superpower it is, as opposed to like that's not the right word, infringement on anything that he's doing. And he
Right.
probably is going to be much more successful of a human being, truthfully.
We'll see. We're excited because he's my little math whiz. He's 7 and he's using AI as a tutor. And he's like, Dad, I came home the other day. I don't know where he gets this. I think it's like YouTube. I need to start monitoring that. But he was like, he's
Yes.
7 years old. He's like, Dad, I want to learn algebra. I'm like, oh no, that was my worst subject. I hated algebra. I'm like, son, we're gonna have to get to Kay is our little tutor bot. Like, I'm gonna have to go talk to Kay. He thinks it's a real person, which is
I
also
love that. I
yeah.
actually saw something, I think it was probably an Instagram post, where instead of having, you come home from a long day and your child's like 2 hours on a butterfly they were following along, they put it in front of like a chat GPT and came back, and an hour later, there was still the conversation, and you're looking at the transcript. And literally now, chat GPT, you can build a custom GPT, obviously, that or a gem or any of those things that will talk back to your child and be like, tell me more.
Mhm.
So, and then you have that to show at their wedding and embarrass them.
Oh, so I didn't even think about that. I'm totally doing that. Yeah, all that memory recall. I'm gonna print that out. I'm gonna keep it, store it. So back to AI and leveraging it within specifically finance, where do you see AI creating the most leverage for finance teams right now? Like where's the low hanging fruit? Where's the quick ROI, and maybe even the less risky, right? Where do you find in your experience as you're consulting and educating and helping, where is for sure this is where you want to integrate AI right now? Like no questions asked, that's low hanging fruit. It's easy to do, low failure rate.
Really, and it's funny because I was going to go somewhere different with this answer, but I think transcription services right now for the small business. Let's
Mhm.
just talk for a moment about the small business and how can they get the biggest ROI for the smallest dollar. I have a friend who has an interior design company, and she would, up until talking to me, and by the way, she had to talk to me for a couple months until she proved this out. She used to have an assistant come with her to all of her meetings, whether they were on Zoom or not, and take notes. And then that's how she would pull up an estimate of what to do. And I said, what are you doing? Use a transcription service. So then you're looking at the person in the eye, hearing what they're saying and their nuance. Then you're
Mhm.
going to take the transcription of what the person wants done in their house. You're going to summarize it, whether you summarize it yourself or put it into chat, or a lot of these transcription services now have summaries. You're going to send that plan back to your person who is, you're going to your client. Now your client has, hey, here's everything we talked about. And they're going to say, you know what? That's not exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this. Now you're going to both agree. You're going to come up with your plan of that it's going to take 12 weeks. So now both of you are on the exact same page. That costs you what, $20 a month for your transcription. You're
Right.
also going to take that plan, you're going to put it into an AI model, and you're going to have it create an agent that
Mm.
comes to you and says, hey, every Monday, this in the 13-week plan, this is what you were supposed to do. Did you get it done? Talk to me. If not, here's how we're going to move it. And so that way you're not constantly having overages, both in, hey, this isn't exactly what I meant. No, no, you signed off. Both of us agreed this
Mhm.
is what you're going to do. And additionally, now you're going to be able to rejigger things with the help of AI and actually come in closer to budget and closer to the timeline.
Oh,
That's just something super easy
love
that's
it.
just in a transcription service. But for us, like bigger, scalable businesses, and by the way, her business is super scalable. That's not what I'm saying. For us, it's the budgeting and the forecasting. Right now, we have that annual budget with AI being a with us feeding our data, our vendor data, all of our data that's obviously not that's not HIPAA issues. With us putting all of our data in, we're going to be able to forecast almost on a daily basis. I think within
Awesome.
the next year or two, we're going to be able to forecast daily as opposed to having an annual budget. That annual budget is going to be the forecast we had on January 1st, and then our reforecast. Then we're going to literally have daily reforecasting because it's going to be working with our data. So I think that is
So
going to
good.
what
I,
our CFO role is doing.
I'm a big fan of transcriptions tools too. And before we get to the data points and the actual content of it, the summaries, the actions, I love what you kicked it off with, right? And we all know this so well, especially in this virtual environment where and even at times when you're in person with someone, we're so used to typically if you're taking notes and not just doing the mental notes, but you're writing it down, right? And so
Yeah.
this awkward like non-natural way of communicating, but wanting to jot down important things so you don't forget, has just been around so long, and we've all just kind of dealt with it. It's just, oh man, I wish we just had better eye contact and we were just vibing, right? Like we're doing now. And what the transcriptions allow to do is for you to be, I always say, love the one you're with. You get to love the one you're with while everything is just being recorded or transcribed. And the cool thing is the next aspect of it is then the intelligence cuts it up into how you want it to look like and formatted the way you want, right? And then you have a summary and you have action items. And to your point, I love that you took it to the next level because people are like, I don't even know what a transcription tool is. It's okay. And you heard some examples around Fathom, Fireflies, Otter, OpenAI is coming out with its own, right? Read. There's so, and now it's baked into like Microsoft Teams, which I love that, or Google. There's Google Meets,
Zoom. Yeah.
Zoom, right? So they're all the big players are doing it too, which is exciting. So for those out there that just learn, oh, that can you can do that, try one of those, right? Just test it out. And it's as Julia mentioned, it's very affordable, especially for the value you get. Now you took it to the next level, right? So for those out there, I already used one and didn't realize, wait a second, now I can feed it to within the brain of an agent, or if you want to start even smaller with a GPT, let's call it Chat GPT, right? Now you're taking it to the next level where you're cutting up some more, you're having very personalized, hyper personalized conversations and recall and memory from that transcription tool. To your point, follow up, making sure that we're aligned. You're saving so much time. And then to your point, there is dollar signs in a lack of clarity and alignment. So if you can solve for clarity and alignment, to your point with a client, let's say, I mean, the time saving, money savings, right? Because sometimes all these inefficiencies, all of this quote unquote waste comes from a misalignment. And you just gave great examples on how you solve for it. And you're right, that's so doable right now. And it's low risk and cheap and
Yeah.
affordable. So good.
Absolutely.
I
And
love
by the
that.
way, I also have Otter AI on my personal phone because I do a lot of philanthropy and I go to a lot of different events. And sometimes there's amazing speakers, and you're like, oh my God, I wish I was writing this down. So Otter, literally, you can have someone 50 feet away from you
Hmm.
and Otter will catch it. And so then afterwards, I can just look at my summary and be like, oh my God, this is what was the most impactful for me.
I love
And
it.
that's a personal level.
I do the same fireflies, and then I just started researching Plod, and you can put on your lanyard. It's 24/7 battery powered, and I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I think about the like your you watch those documentaries where they have this like 10 year 20-year diary. I'm like, I wish I wrote that much. Like, I just don't like to do it, but I like to document some things, and I miss so much. Right, you're just in the moment. But imagining having a 24/7 transcriber on you. You could talk to it, or it's picking things up like a speaker, and it's all there, and it's all housed right in the cloud or data lake or whatever. Now, you made me think about something. I actually read something recently. As we're coming into this pivot point, this inflection point, where will we? Privacy's always been a thing, right? Especially nowadays with everything so digital and surveillance and things like that. Are we going to give up some of that privacy, knowing and maybe not knowing that everything is being recorded at all times, right? It's being transcribed. And I would imagine 99% of it, the intent is good, right? It's to, I want a speaker. I want to make sure I document this conversation so I could remember and follow up and not missing anything. But it also makes me think, wait a second, like I have a plot or I have an otter or what have you, and is it going to become a case where it's like, are you transcribing this? Like, is it going to come down to that, where you have to have this like awkward, let's preface this meeting. Are you transcribing this? And then I just think of the legal side of things, because some states are a little bit different about those things. But have you thought about that?
I have. So, one, there's always been bad actors, and there always will be.
Yeah.
Two, it's going to force me to gossip less and be a better person. Let's just be clear, we all do it. And three, after an Apple Watch, it hears everything.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Like, it's going to happen. Do I think that, do I want to be recorded without someone knowing? No, absolutely I don't. I- Is it already happening and we just don't see it? Absolutely it is.
Mm.
So it is what it is.
Good.
Like, we just have
Something
to
to think
go
about.
based on what it is, not what we'd like it to be.
I love that. It's like, ooh, maybe I should have talked about that person a little bit. Like,
Right.
gotcha. I love that you brought
I
that
really
up.
have
That
to
is
get
so
better.
funny. Careful what you say, people. You're being transcribed. When in doubt, you're being transcribed. That
Oh,
is
1000%.
so funny. So in the FP&A world, what's the biggest misconception about FP&A that you're seeing in the market today?
I'm going to marry that with what's the biggest misconception with when you're hiring numbers people. One,
Mhm.
FP&A is not just budgeting and forecasts and variance analysis. Like, if you want to be really good at your job, you need to have as we've talked about, you need to have the conversation. You need to know the operations. If you don't know the operations, then even if you have that same expense month over month, but
Mhm.
operations isn't it doesn't need that anymore, well then what's the point of it? Yeah, like, I can give you what the numbers are, but that doesn't mean that it's going to tell the story of what's supposed to happen. And then the other biggest misconception that I see right now, I know a number of fractional CFOs that are being hired as glamorized bookkeepers, because
Mhm.
no one people out there don't realize that a number isn't a number isn't a number. I am not the best at gap. I will say that right now.
Me too.
Every time I have ever been hired for anything, I'm like, I am not the best controller out there. I'm really good at finance. I'm really good at data analysis. I'm really good at FP&A. Do I know controllership? Oh, hell yes, I do. And I'm very good at it. But what am I the subject matter expert in? It's the FP&A, it's the analytics,
Mm.
it's the operational analytics. And so when you're hiring someone, it's funny, I've had people say, oh, yes, you have your day job, but can you go and do my taxes? I'm like, I don't know taxes. Numbers are not numbers are not numbers. So I took tax in my courses in college. I worked for a tax accountant in college. That was a long time ago, 5 years. But
Right. There you
really,
go.
really, a number isn't a number isn't a number. So you're going to hire the person, and you're going to, for the task that you really really need, and don't throw bodies at it.
Mm. I love that. And so being in the world, right, I think there's this major shift from, to your point, the numbers and reporting, which is very back then, to now being actually using the intelligence for insights. And it's getting so good, right? Speaking of co-pilot or agents or just the brain of AI, right? It's getting so good it can actually recommend, so long as, to your point earlier, the data has to be good, right? So the cleanup, it has to be sharp because it's extracting it in. But from there, this intelligence is getting so good that we're moving into this insight generation and recommendation, not just reporting dashboard. Because there's a lot of companies out there and they're awesome. They are reporting dashboard companies and they're, they promote AI and this and that. Well, when you lift up the hood, it's a dashboard company, which is awesome. We still need that. We love data visualization. It's awesome, right? And you can directionally see or KPI assess. All right, are we good? Are we bad? What is it looking like? Green, red, yellow kind of thing. We're all
Yeah.
used to that. But it's
DSO,
yeah,
EBITDA, all of these
exactly.
things.
It's like
Yes, yes.
awesome.
It's table stakes at this point.
It's
Table
table
stakes.
stakes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The next piece is we get to it so fast, and now it can even offer and support, augment the modern finance leader with recommendations and insights. Where do you see that happening? I mean, how has that
That
been in your experience?
that's the most like exciting thing for me right now. The amount of time, okay, we close the books and now we're looking to see the variance analysis, the amount of time that finance organizations are spending looking, oh my God, we didn't account for that vendor. Oh, they didn't send us the invoice. Or, oh, the invoice has now a 3% increase, but based on millions of dollars, I'm not going to notice that for another year.
Mhm.
Or, oh, this vendor charged us double, vendor didn't charge us at all. And now, 3 months later, you have 3 months worth of invoices coming in, and you have your stakeholders going, what the hell? Your OPEX is typically the same month over month. Why are we $100,000 to the bad? All of a sudden, this is where agentic AI can really come in, and it knows all of your vendors. It knows if there's cyclical times where you're going to see it. Like for us, we have a lot of school clients, and school is out in the summer, so our revenue on our expenses may dip in the summer. I used to work in tech ed, a publicly traded company, also schools. So now you're having these agentic AI say, oh my God, here's what the vendors look like, here's the vendors you're missing. Hey, have you thought about this? Based on the last 5 years, your expenses should dip 20%,
Nice.
your revenues should dip 30%, but I'm seeing 18% and 25%. And I've dug in, and this is where I see it. And then potentially, and I haven't seen it get here yet, here's the email to send to your vendors going, hey, we're going to have school out for the next 3 months. I need you to tell me what's going on with invoices for the next 3 months, and then you can send that, or theoretically the agent's going to be able to send it on your behalf. But this is what I'm excited about, because then I'm not going to need as much of the hourly staff. I'm going to need people to go, okay, now that we have dips in our cycle during the summer, what else can we do to increase our revenue in those summer months? And I'm going to be able to think about that, as opposed to trying to just like analyze the data.
Oh my goodness. People need, for those listening, please rewind, go back and listen to that. And that's just, it's a master class and use case right there. We live in it, whether it rung a bell yet. Again, go rewind it because it will ring a bell. And as you listen to Julia talk about that, we're in that. We're in it, and we're in for so long. The ability to go and understand vendor behavior and to have to go scrub through manually, by the way, contracts and agreements and terms, right? And then to manually go look and see historically where are the dips, where's the cyclical going. And you think about all of us, we've been up 2, 3 in the morning, right? Late nights trying to crunch this all out, make sure the
Weekends.
model fits, do all this homework. We're just detectives within our financial numbers. Now the intelligence does it for you, and it understands. It could see these vendor behaviors. It could see the cyclical ups and downs. And what I'm excited about, and I know, and I appreciate you for the support, what we're doing at Valisights. soon Val, the co-pilot that lives within QuickBooks, it extracts it in real time, will be available. We obviously also do insights and recommendation reporting, whether that be cash flow forecasts, again, immediate versus having to take weeks and weeks to build and then weekly maintenance. It does it in real time, which is exciting. But I'm so pumped about what is possible. It's already here. And then to your point, for instance, I'll give Val an example. Our Valisights co-pilot, it will then take that data and those insights and will then, and this is where you get your agentic workflows from the agent, it will then call. So you'll have an actual avatar voice that can call your vendor that owes you money. It will send you an SMS and it will send an email, right? And so that's where it's all going is you no longer have to do that. You don't have to click the button. It doesn't even require the automation per se. But think about those that are constantly for those, and big shout outs to those. I get it. It's important on the AR front that are making those phone calls. That will soon be replaced as well so that you can do, to your point, Joe, I love that you said this. It's not you are replaced. It's that task is replaced so you can do something different and more valuable. You're so valuable. Let's reposition you in another spot, knowing we have all this data. We see the cyclical, we see the behaviors, we know who owes us money or we know who we owe money. And now you can do something different to impact the business in a larger way versus crunching and reporting.
Yeah. I
Or
mean, by the
changing,
way, with Valisights, I was looking at Comply IQ. Like,
right?
we're the type of company that either has an audit or a review on an annual basis. And that takes a long time because,
So,
truthfully, we're so busy doing the data that we're not cleaning up the balance sheet constantly. But with Comply IQ, if we're looking at this every month, my God, when it comes time for the review or the audit, or if you're a publicly traded company, the quarterly audit,
right,
thanks to Comply IQ, it's going in and giving you those insights and reminding you and giving you a tick like going, hey, why is your AP balance negative? Or why is your AR balance
yeah,
negative? What is going on? And so it's those insights that, because we're still doing the data, that it's able to come in and say, hey, just as a reminder, go make sure your books are clean. So
right,
when it comes time for the review, I love that. Like the cash flow, cash is king, and we're constantly looking at cash flow. We're constantly looking, oh my God, do we need to have a bigger line of credit? Do we
right.
need to refi our line of credit? What is going on? Or any of our loans. So Valisights, like, you guys are doing really good things.
I appreciate you, and we're so excited, and there's so much more to come, like the co-pilot living within your accounting platform and space. But to your point, I love that you brought up Comply IQ. It's funny, our most popular is Cash IQ, right? To your point, cash is king and queen, right? It is the thing, right? Cash flow, but not just cash flow positioning, but cash flow forecasting, so that you can pull back for those owners out there or even the CFOs, like, you know what, this week or that week, we need to limit the outflows because revenue inflows is not as high, right? So you're that strategic and that on it. But to your point, Comply IQ, not just for our internal team, like as you were mentioning, you all do some internal auditing. What we found is private equity groups or those that want to go do due diligence. I want to know that the reporting that you're providing me, my executive package, as we're trying to evaluate and we're trying to see, is this a great investment? I want to know that the data is clean before we even do anything here. And so I was so surprised, maybe not so surprised, but I was excited to see that a lot of those in the private equity space would use Comply IQ to go do some initial deep diving on your books. So for those out there, like your books are so important for those that are doing it well, right? When you're doing due diligence and some valuation work, you got to go check that the data that's going in is clean. To your point, it's a big thing that people miss a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially the balance sheet. We're always talking about the P&L and
Mhm.
cash. No one cares about anything else. But like the AP aging, the AR aging, the days outstanding, all of that. Like, and we're none of us are as good at it as we think we are.
Right.
Let's just be clear.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always something, right? And there's always a little bit of human error or put the placeholder that maybe I forgot to come back to that,
Yeah,
and definitely the data, when
I'll
you do a
park it
data
on the balance
migration.
sheet. I'll park it there.
Yeah, yeah, I'll park it there, ask accountant, like, and then the data, or if when you do this data migration, we all know what a beast that is. Like, oh, I mean, I remember when I first started out, I was saying yes to every opportunity, and a lot of them was that. And I'm like, oh no, but I would do it, and I learned a lot, and I made a lot of mistakes too, and I just, I could only, you just see what the intelligence can do now with those types of projects. And it's seamless, it's more accurate, less error. And so that's exciting because those can be brutal.
Absolutely.
I was excited to pick your brain here because you're so in it. There's a lot of people out there that are still like, I just don't know yet. I don't understand this. I'm still in the basic prompting framework, right? The normal, as you mentioned, like the catch chat GPT, but any of these LLMs. I want to learn, or maybe I'm in the GPT, but I don't understand this like agentic AI, agentic workflow, or agents. And I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I trust that. What are the risks for not adopting agentic AI workflows and agents, especially for those that are just growing fast, moving fast, just your hyper growth businesses that you work with?
I think that the biggest risk at not adopting it is you're still going to be in the slow lane, whereas others are now moving forward, moving ahead.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not adopting an agent that can go do scrub the data on your behalf, make recommendations so you have time to think about other things, you're going to be mired in the details and you're not going to be able to lift your head up and move as quickly. So it's not that you're any not as smart or not as understanding or not as quick. It's that you're not going to be able to scale.
Hmm. That's so interesting. Just scalability. That's something to think about, right? Is if you want to take it to the next level, and in a sense, like competitively, to have that competitive edge to protect your moat, the speed at which it's a race right now,
Yeah.
too. Right now, I love that you brought up governance earlier. It's a race, but it's methodical. It's not a negligent, like all out. I'm just gonna run because you
Copy
made,
paste.
yeah, copy paste. You're gonna make so many mistakes, and then your end user, whether that be the team member or your customer, they're gonna feel that, and that's just trust erosion, brand erosion, right? So I love that you talked about governance. Like everyone, please go there, go and have a governance strategy, your AI digital roadmap and team committee. So important before you do anything, before you invest the dollar or even implement.
Yeah.
You have to ask more
Also,
questions, have guardrails.
and trust but verify.
Hmm.
Really, everything that you're doing, verify it. Make sure that you're, even if you're doing your research in chat, ask it for the source. Consistently go to the source, see what's happening. Because, by the way, I've written LinkedIn posts. We all use AI to help us. Like, no one's doing this 100% on their own, even
Hmm.
though the idea is fully on our own. And if I want to bring in some sources, there have been times I've clicked on that source. It's been from 2, 3 years ago.
Right.
Things have changed. So you cannot constantly just wrote, copy, paste what's there. You have to use critical thinking skills and you really have to go and do the source review. And every instance, you can't look at the first 3 sources and say, oh, it's right there. Every time you source something or you cite something, you have to click into it. That's where your time will be used as opposed to like going in and doing the data jockey work.
Yeah, it's so good that it's a great recommendation and advice because there are some out there, whether they be in the legal field or finance field and others that are getting into some trouble because they think it's foolproof. It's not. And I say this lightly. It's so weird that I say like I need to respect the AI LLM. It's just that's my relationship with AI right now. I literally talk to it like it's right
Yeah.
here with me. So I'm going to respect you, AI, or my all my bots out there, all my agents. But I don't trust any of it. It's not foolproof yet.
Yeah.
So there has to be
It
this
lies, it
it's
hallucinates.
yeah, it lies, it hallucinates, and sometimes it just gets it wrong. But I do like when I tell it got it wrong. It's like, Al, that's like the nickname you get.
Yeah.
You're right, I did miss that. And I'm like, you did, but it's okay. Let's fix
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
And by
So
the way, I sometimes like will pit one AI against another. I will literally say, "Hey Claude, this is what
mm,
chat said. What do you think?" And then I'll put it back and I'll be like, "Hey chat, I gave Claude what you said." And then I ask it, "Who's better line by line?" And it will literally tell me, "I was right here, Claude was better there, I was right there, and now I'm going to combine." Like they do not just even the trust but verify, but don't just go into one. And by the way, I will use the
yes.
Explore GPTs. I will go to the HRIS GPT. Like I love that. I love not just going to regular 4.0 or mini or whatever it is, or deep research. I love
Mhm.
using the Explore GPTs because they're narrower but deeper.
Right. Yeah. I always say if you want the inch wide, mile deep, like your SME, your subject matter
Yes.
expert in that thing, don't use the broad Chat GPT or Microsoft Copilot. Create a GPT for it, or those that are available
Yeah.
as
Don't
well.
reinvent the wheel.
Right. So I use this tool called Abacus AI. And so there's tools like it where you actually on one screen have all the models. So you can prompt it all at the same time. It feeds it all. And then it spits out, let's call it, you chose 6 different, Gemini, Grok, chat, or what have you. And it spits it all out. And it's so interesting, right? They're all different on the way they've been trained, but you get to see, to your point, okay, which one's better here, which one's better there. And then even ask them, hey, here's what this model said to what are your thoughts? And
Yeah.
so I love that you do that. I highly recommend that. I always use a framework called Pico. So it's persona. It's kind of like a GPT, but persona is what are they? Always you are an expert at, right? Unless it's a GPT, it already knows. And as we're all used to information, right? We ask it almost like a search function type of thing. Context, give it something that, what does great look like? Here's maybe an email, or here's a picture, a photo, here's a document. And then this is totally you right here, right? Optimization. Ask it to give you 20 follow-up questions, like that curiosity
Yes.
approach. Give me 20 follow-up questions because I'm going to answer them. So this is hyper precise. And I've noticed the output has been so much better when I've used that framework. And then I'm going to start using your strategy more, is pit them against each other. I mean, you're creating AI drama. I love it.
I love it. Yes.
I'm better.
Constantly. Constantly.
That's
Yes.
awesome. We gave a lot of tools, right? From transcription tools to even the models, right? And I'd imagine for some out there, they're like, I had no idea there was more than chat. So there's a lot of people out there, including C-suite executives, CFOs, owners. How do you navigate recommending or even structuring an AI finance tech stack? Because even alone here, I'm sure, or for those that are watching the news, there's literally something new every week. It can be overwhelming. Like it's like you're paralyzed by this like massive marketplace that keeps getting faster, better. There's new players coming in. What do I choose so that my finance team is ahead of the curve or modernized?
Well, I'm going to start from the big and go down. You do not need to implement SAP in a startup company. And it's the same,
Mhm.
like, you're fine using QuickBooks to scale at least somewhat. So it's the same thing with AI. Do not say, oh my God, these people are using this AI tool, whatever it is, so we're going to implement it. What's the problem? Like, what are you trying to solve? Like, there's so many AI solutions that say that they're going to reinvent the wheel and revolutionize your tasks. I remember we were looking at something for QuickBooks and they're like, we're going to be able to give you a variance analysis. Yeah, I can do that. Thank you so much. I don't need that. But then the tools where they can literally go into your, so really have that critical eye when you're implementing tools. Also look at the tools you currently have and see if there's something that you're not currently utilizing. Like if you have ADP, don't necessarily throw it away. See like work I think it's workplace. Like see what tools you have and see what you're not using in those tools. And so when you're looking at your tech stack, implement a Microsoft Copilot or a ChatGPT, but look like literally look at all of them. Have people give you demos of all of them. And here's something I did for our AP. We're like implementing a new AP. I literally took all of my Fathom transcripts, I took all of the PDFs, I took all of the emails, and I threw it all into ChatGPT and said, hey, I want you to go in and I want you, here's ramp, here's brex, here's our banking, here's what our bank came up with, and I want you to compare and contrast. Here are the different ways to look at it, and what do you think would be best for our business. So and that's just you can even use that with the free chat GPT. So when you're looking at your tech stack, make sure that you're working with AI to see, hey, is this really what's best for us? I don't know. I think that was a little bit of a kludgy answer, but we're
No.
also trying to figure out our tech stack. And at this point, everything's a tech stack,
Right.
including HRA.
I love it. No, you're spot on, right? So, like, first of all, as you're selecting your tech stack, what's your existing? So, you could use AI, right? And people like you, Julie, to go in and assess. Well, let's look what is best for the organization.
Yeah.
Maybe it was best for you then, but now let's see
Is
if
it
it's
best
still
for
if
us
it
now? Yeah.
right. And then I always say, and I'm sure you agree, it's like, okay, don't just try to reinvent or tag something on to just have a tech stack for a tech stack, right? What are your pain points? And then what are you needing 5 years from now? Do you think you might need 5 years from now that you can set up? What do your end users need? Like what gets you to ensure that their satisfaction scores are high, like, or the business can grow? Like start thinking about those, not just we just need a tech stack, we need the coolest and the latest and the greatest. Good luck. It's not going to work out that way, or it's
Yeah.
not going to work out too well most of the times. What are your pain points, and then what are your growth opportunities? That's where you can finesse it in. And again, to your point, use AI to assess and point you in the right direction.
And sometimes it could be something easy that you can almost home grow and create. You don't always have to buy something.
Yeah, that's so good. So, there's a lot of people in the audience that actually are in the finance space in the recruiting world, but also we're all looking for amazing talent, right? Whether or not the marketplace at times can be rough, and I know this wave of intelligence is starting to there's a lot of fear mongering out there, right? And but things are changing. There's things that are changing, and it could be that the task that you're doing and the role that you're in today with an organization, just it might not exist tomorrow, but that's okay because there's going to be other opportunities, right? So while AI, yes, it may replace some things, but it's going to reposition you or provide you a new opportunity to go do something different in this industry that we love with a brand that you're passionate about. So when you're recruiting, Julia, and you're looking for someone to be on your team, and you think about the finance hire today is, I'd imagine, is different than the finance team member, that we were looking for 5 years ago. Let's say, what are you looking for?
So I'm no longer looking for only the expert in gap. I'm no longer looking for Excel that's, oh, yeah, I know Excel, I know equals sum. It's like saying, I'm no longer looking for someone that's like, oh, yeah, I use ChatGPT to rewrite my emails. Not like you have to go further. You have to go deeper. I'm
Hmm.
looking for someone that actually has the EQ because that's what it's going to take. The data is going to be done for us. I need someone that's curious, that has critical thinking skills. I think really that's the number one. The amount of people that are so used to being data jockeys and not having the critical thinking skills and not being able to think for themselves and not able to do the job better than I am, because I'm looking to hire someone that is going to make me look good because they're so much smarter than I am. So I need someone with critical thinking skills and someone that's looking forward to, hey, I've been playing with Python. I have not been playing with Python. I don't think we in the future are necessarily going to need to play with Python
Right?
because it's so, like regular language.
It's
However,
the vibe coding. It's all taken care of.
however, you're going to need someone that's interested.
Hmm. I love that. So for those that are looking or you're thinking about making a career change, something to think about. Now, it's not something you just put on paper because that will get stress tested, right? Well,
Oh,
you could easily find out if someone is truly knowledgeable. What I think the challenge is here, and Julie, I'd love to learn more about how did you learn all of this. The challenge is go learn it, right? Go learn it, go upskill, right? That's like the big
yeah.
tagline in 25 and 24, and probably more so down the line too, 2026, is you got to start developing different skill sets. And Julie, you've shared a ton from the beginning to up until now. How did you learn? And I know you're naturally curious, but like maybe not how, but where did you go to learn these things?
So when it comes to AI, it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine um, at a networking event, a personal networking event, not even business, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing class on AI 101, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and she goes to me, "What makes you the expert?" And I was like, no one. And now I've had a couple of people ask me, and the answer is there are no experts.
Yeah.
Even the people like at Harvard or Columbia that are doing AI certificates and master classes, a lot of it is coding, but a lot of what we're doing is literally just going and starting and doing. Now, I hate the people that say just play with it. Do you want me to throw a ball at it? Like, what do you mean play with it? Like,
Just
what does
tap it.
that mean? But really, there's amazing newsletters like the Neuron. That is my favorite
It's a
newsletter. I
good
do
one.
not
Yeah.
gatekeep. You look at Glenn Hopper, who's doing amazing things on LinkedIn. You're looking at Anna, who you mentioned, who you had on your podcast. These are people that, one, reading their newsletters, but also just going in, seeing what they're doing. I just recently joined in like AI finance group that I had to pay for, but that's like, okay, hey, we're going to do a cash flow, and everyone put in how you're doing it. Like, just talking to people, having the conversation. How are you using AI? How am I using AI? And on a daily basis, utilize it somehow. I literally have a sticky on my computer that says, how can AI help me do this? So I'm constantly trying things, and they don't always work. And by the way, if it doesn't work today, it's probably going to work a month from now.
Right.
So I'm learning by doing, but start with one thing. Start with the transcription and then copy it and paste it into ChatGPT and say, "Hey, the conversation that Al and I had, like, what else should I have said? Now, based on that, what should I go learn?"
Yeah.
So always ask the additional question. And that's just kind of the way I've always been. And so you have to make sure you're using the tools in your toolkit, or else you're going to be left behind. Seriously.
So much there. You reminded me of a book, QBQ, Question Behind the Question. It's such a good book, right? It's
Don't
like
know it. I'll have to see it.
keep asking questions to your point. There's such a power in your inquisitive mindset, but for those listening, ask more questions, right? Be the student. And to Julia's point, experiment it with it all and start small and then start to work your way up from that. And that's to your point. And you mentioned some great names. Like I love Glenn. Glenn's going to be on the show as well. Right. And I don't think he'll kill me for saying this, but he's not the expert. No one is, because everything's changing. What we said today, even some of the things that we've mentioned today, if you're listening maybe a month from now, it probably is outdated. It's moving that fast. It's getting better and better, and things are changing and things are dropping off. And so to your point, it's not about necessarily, it's such a good question that your friend asked. It's not necessarily being the expert. It's just being in it. And it's
Yeah.
having this learning mindset, this, I used to say this back in the day, you should remind me, it's like, think like a rookie. Like you're just constantly a rookie in this game.
Yeah.
And just you keep learning and learning and asking the right questions and then experimenting and trying. And some things work, some things don't. And that's just such great advice. And I'm learning so much from you today. And I'm gonna take that away from myself too, is just don't stop, right? Sometimes it's like, okay, I gotta figure it out. This is awesome. No, wait a second, because this might be outdated tomorrow. Like start continuing to learn, search, connecting with other groups. That's so
Yeah.
good, right? Because there's so much out there that we may not know yet that we will learn if we're connecting with other humans too. So I love that. Well, where this is all headed, right? There was a lot there. What do you think finance and the finance office and function looks like? Let's just say in the next 5 to 10 years. Like, what is it? What is it looking like, in your opinion?
It's strategic. It's the numbers are going to be in front of us, and what do we do with it? It's going to be the personal connections. I'm seeing that already. The number of different tech stack items, the benefits for employees, the agentic AIs, all of that are going to make the office of the CFO be more strategic. We're already seeing the CFO COO hybrids. I
Right.
think we're
The
going to
COFO.
what?
I call it the COFO. I
The
lied.
COFO.
Just
Yes,
COFO.
COFO. But it's going to be all of it. We're not just going to be able to be siloed in finance. We're going to need to know a little bit of HR, a little bit of marketing, a little bit of tech, a little bit of operations. And we're going to need to be continually talking to each other and have our own knowledge base and be strategic together to scale every business. It's no longer going to be do you numbers? Do you know numbers? Do you know numbers? Yes, the office of the CFO knows numbers. Like we've always known numbers,
Right.
but that's not it anymore. It's the being curious and seeing what the global world is doing.
So good. Well, I really appreciate this. Clearly, you've made this, I would call it a compelling case. I mean, if everyone that's listening doesn't feel that, please rewind it because there was a lot there that you shared with us, Julia. And thank you for lifting up the hood and giving us raw, like the raw stuff that you're in. This isn't a hype thing or theoretical. Like you're doing it, you're experimenting, you're helping others get better with this intelligence within their finance space or finance function, as well as you heard, operations, IT, HR. That's a big one too, that can be a partner with finance. I actually think that that's one of the best partnerships that you can have. So I appreciate you just challenging us not to stay in the past, to lean in, to ask better questions, to experiment specifically with agentic AI and agents so that we evolve into this strategic partner that helps with business growth, team member satisfaction, your customer satisfaction, and financial growth. So I love it. If people want to connect with you and learn more about what you do and how you can help them, where can they find you?
So obviously LinkedIn, but also I've recently started a website, www.askjuliakozlov.com. And so I talk on leadership. I talk on AI 101, just really the quick, easy thing, like ROI, the things that are the biggest bang for your buck. And so they can go and find me there. The website it's just a start of one. So what's here today, obviously, just like AI is going to be better
Exactly.
in 6 months. But go see what I'm all about there and reach out to me. I love talking to people because I'm always learning from others.
So good. Well, I'll make sure to put your LinkedIn link and your website link in the show notes so that people have direct access to that. And I hope they take the opportunity. You're amazing. I've met you in person and chatting now and a couple times on LinkedIn as well. You're such an amazing person. I
Thank
truly
you.
appreciate you leaning into your superpowers and strengths. We need you. So thank you for being vulnerable and just for letting us see it all. I love reading your posts on LinkedIn. It's not just business, it's personal too. And I appreciate that. Going back to our original point of we're all yearning for more human connection, and you make it so much easier for us that need it. So thank you for leading the way and inspiring us.
Thank you for having me on. These were
Pleasure.
amazing questions. My mind is now reeling.
I know. We're ready. Let's get to work. Let's get to work.
Perfect.
I love it. Well, you mentioned Valisights, obviously the Valisights podcast. We're doing a ton at Valisights. Can't wait to release Val. But if you all, those listening, if you all want a demo, Julia brought up a couple tools out of the suite of tools that we have and services. It's at valisights.com. So check it out. Again, your AI powered FP&A and strategic finance platform. You can just DM me too if you don't want to click on the demo link in the website. Just come to my LinkedIn. You can DM me and we'll help you out. So
You're so responsive. You're so
I
responsive.
love LinkedIn. It's awesome. You
Yes.
meet so many great
Same.
people.
Same.
Yeah, so we'll continue to connect. I can't wait to see you at the next event, and
Yep.
and hopefully the rest of the gang is there. There's a ton of people out there that are just again, we're wanting to connect in person, and we'll continue to do that. So
Yep.
well, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time. Well, everyone, this has been the Valisights podcast. As always, I'm your host, Albert Ramos. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.